Hello and welcome to K2AV's Make Pretend AV Setup Show. My name is Jasky, and if you haven't tuned into any of the previous episodes, what we do here is we have a theoretical client with some requirements and a theoretical budget, and we design an AV solution to meet their needs. On today's episode, we have Prabhudeva, who is the principal of a private secondary school here in Perth, and he wants to set up an undercover area for assemblies, presentations, and performances that his students want to do. So I'll let Prabhudeva explain the requirements and let's get on with the show. Hi, I'm Prabhudeva and I am the principal of a secondary private school here in Perth, Western Australia. We have an undercover area which is 20 meters in width, 30 meters in length. It's essentially the size of one standard basketball court. And this space I want to be able to activate for whole school assemblies. When all our staff and students are in this room, I want to be able to do presentations on some sort of big display that everyone can see. We need to be able to do performances, and we want to be able to create backgrounds in the back using this display. We have music nights where we just want to be able to play audio in this area without needing any sort of presentation. And currently our setup is too cumbersome. I have to bring in a projector and then I have to set up a screen, and then we got all these speakers plugged in, and it's too laborious, and a lot of the times we just avoid it because it's too complicated. I want to be able to have a physical installed solution that looks nice and neat, and my staff can walk in with a laptop, plug in a single cable, and off we go. And the presentation is up and we are ready to proceed with whatever we have planned in that room. It needs to be Bluetooth enabled. Sometimes I just want to walk in with a smartphone, connect via Bluetooth, make it easy for all of our staff. Finally, for formal presentations, sometimes we have the minister, sometimes we have a high profile or an important person in this space where there's a formal presentation, everyone is seated, for there to be microphones and a provision for a lectern to be set up to deliver a formal speech or a formal presentation. And for a fully installed, ready to go commission solution, my budget is $30,000. Thanks Prabhudeva to design the AV solution for this undercover area. What we need to start with is what image size we need for the size of this space. Now, what we do know is the size of the space from where the projector or the display is going to be mounted all the way to the back is 30 meters. But because the display is never going to be mounted right at the front and the furthest view is never going to be right at the back, we're trying to reach about 20 meters for the person sitting furthest away from where this image is going to be. Now, if you've watched a previous video where we outlined the 4-6-8 rule, you will know that we can calculate the image size based on how far the furthest person is sitting from where the image is being projected. So in this case, because that furthest person is 20 meters away, the diagonal image size we need for this undercover area is 180 inches in size. So because it's a relatively bright space and 180 inches is quite big, we need a reasonably bright projector to be able to project a bright enough image for everyone to be able to see. The projector we would recommend in this case is an Epson Laser L1505. So this projector is 12,000 lumens in brightness, so it's bright enough for the 180-inch image, and we'll use a standard middle throw lens to mount it in a suitable position for it to project on the projection screen. And for the projector screen, we would recommend the Grand View GRIP 180C. The reason we select Grand View is they are extremely cost effective for this sort of application, and it's a good quality build and extremely reliable. So it is definitely our go-to screen for this sort of space. So we've got the projector, we've got the screen. How do we present? Most of you probably know the answer, but it's going to be a wall plate with a HDMI input. And essentially you bring your laptop to the front of the room where the wall plate is mounted, plug in, and whatever is on your device will now be presented onto the projection screen. The added benefit of these Epson Laser high brightness projectors is they do have a multi-PC projection option built in. In simple terms, what that means is up to 50 different devices, could be an iPad, could be an iPhone, could be a laptop, can wirelessly present and sit in a queue of up to 50 devices, and then the moderator can select which 4 different devices can simultaneously project to the display at one time. To tackle the audio requirements, what we would start as a base for this undercover area is to use the EV 12-inch version of their speakers, which are the ZLX 12. Now, the EV brand of speakers are very high quality, very reliable, produce a great sound for the cost. We have used them in a theater, in undercover areas, in assemblies, and also large staff rooms in the past, and have produced great outcomes for a larger sort of space. To amplify the audio to these speakers, we would use a Yamaha amplifier and also a Yamaha mixer. This would give us enough room for future inputs in that mixer, just in case you needed to expand for future requirements in this undercover area. Because Prabhudeva also requested the need for Bluetooth and the ability to have a CD player, what we would recommend here is installing a Denon Dn500cb. This will give you the option of using any device that has Bluetooth. You connect to the Bluetooth of this Denon device and you can play music in the background. You can have a dance performance. A dance teacher can use the space, a drama teacher can use the space, whatever they require, and you can play music without needing to even turn on your projector. And for presentations where they need a microphone, we would recommend installing a MyPro ACT311HH. And what this gives you is a handheld wireless microphone. So when there is a speech being done in this space where there is a large audience and you do need to amplify, you have 2 receivers, 2 microphones, so 2 can be used simultaneously for those speeches and presentations. So we've tackled the video and the audio component of this solution. What's remaining is the control. How do we control all these items in this room and make it dead easy for anyone to operate? We are going to recommend the most cost-effective way of doing this. Number 1, you would need a wall-mounted touch button controller. And the model we would recommend is the Kramer RC306. This is a 6-button wall mount controller. All you do is it's got on-off source switch. So if you walk into this space, you press on, your projector will turn on, your projection screen will drop, and you plug in your laptop, and what's on your laptop will display on the screen. Source switch will let you switch between one HDMI source to the other. So if you've got a second laptop in the second HDMI input, you can switch between both. That's all that controller does. Now when you come to the audio side of things and say you want to turn the volume up of your speakers, you want the whole master volume to turn up or down, say you want to control your microphones, say you want to control your Bluetooth, and all the various options that we have quoted in this solution, you would use an iPad. If you install the Yamaha app on your iPad, you now have the entire control options on your iPad device. And because sports are being played in this space and we need to make sure this investment into this AV equipment is not going to be damaged by kids playing basketball, soccer, and whatever projectiles are thrown at each of these high value pieces of equipment, we mount the projector in its own cage and we mount all the speakers in their own protective cages. The advantage of the projector cage is it sits on a separate mount to the projector. So if a ball hits the cage, only the cage will rattle, whereas the projector is still safely concealed within its own mount inside of the cage. And the speakers have very heavy duty commercial cages around them, and it's unlikely you're going to damage any of the equipment that you've installed in this space. And that is it for the solution. We have designed this AV solution for this undercover area for Prabhudeva's secondary school. This will meet the requirement of the $30,000 budget and includes us programming, commissioning, and installing the entire solution for it to be operational. And that is the end of today's episode. Hope you found that valuable. We'll see you on the next one.